Good morning, folks. Well, Thanksgiving is coming up pretty soon, and there used to be special songs for Thanksgiving. Come, ye thankful people, come, raise the song of harvest home. All is safely gathered in, ere the winter storms begin. First the blade and then the ear, then the good grain does appear. La 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 la. La 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 la. I didn't remember the last words on it. Well, there are, of course, these old recipes that go with Thanksgiving. Turkey, pumpkin pie. What are some of the recipes you remember? Now, I can tell you a funny story about turkey. My dad, who had a delicate stomach, preferred chicken to turkey. But one year, my mother said, let's have turkey this year. I'll just get a little one. Well, okay. And he faithfully took the gizzard out. She wanted chopped gizzard and chopped liver in the stuffing. Yep, a lot of good things go into the stuffing. Any of you ladies remember what you put in the stuffing of the bird? Well, anyway, that was the year we had turkey. And we had a lot of leftover turkey. And there was the white meat and there was the dark meat. Oh, whenever we had turkey at my grandma's house, my uncles always wanted the drumstick. And there were two drumsticks, but I never heard them do any drumming. Anyway, one year we had turkey instead of chicken, and my dad ate some of it. But we had a lot of leftover turkey. Now, I live just less than a half a mile south of the school, and kids would come from the other direction and we'd all walk together. And I had turkey sandwich. I was getting tired of turkey sandwich. And one of my friends, his name was Verlin Metcalf. He was a year younger than I am. And he said, what do you have on your sandwich today? I said, turkey. He said, I'll trade you. And I traded him. Well, what he had was not nearly as good as the turkey. It was raccoon meat. Tough raccoon meat. You could chew it, and you couldn't make it go down. So I thought, well, turkey is better than raccoon meat. Well, what do people eat? They eat what's available. And I don't know if those people in New England had turkey. Maybe they did, but there are a lot of different kinds of turkeys. And they come in all sorts of colors. And there are turkeys down in Mexico and other countries to the south that are really fancy looking birds. Nowadays, of course, we think, well, we kind of produce them in big bunches, and they're usually white turkeys. We had neighbors once who decided to raise turkeys. And it didn't go so well, because every time an airplane would fly over, the turkeys would stampede, run over each other. They thought it was some big bird after them, I guess. And then I remember one year we invited some people who came from Africa, and we knew them pretty well. And, well, they had seen these big birds that float around in the air, turkey vultures. And that's what they thought turkey was. And my wife brought on the turkey, and they just took a little bit. And the papa of the house said, in our country, we don't eat that bird. He thought they were turkey vultures. Oh, well, they bravely took a little bit of it. So, turkey is one of the standard things to have for Thanksgiving. But there are lots of other things. And I decided to be thankful for whatever tastes good. Now, I have a daughter-in-law who has a wonderful, wonderful custom for Thanksgiving. In fact, I'm sending her a letter today asking her to do what she usually does. She has the family gathered around, and she says, now I want everyone to say what you're most thankful for. And I can guess some of the things she'll say because they've had a lot of tough luck in that family. My youngest son, Rodney, had a lot of trouble, painful kind of trouble. He scalded his leg all the way down to his knee with boiling water, and it took about 3 weeks for them to patch him up. Then he had to peel off the dead skin, and it was terribly, terribly painful. And then, about a week ago, he had surgery. Not just for that sort of thing, but he had developed some extra growths on parts of his body that are a painful place to reach. And then they did some surgery to remove what's called his prostate gland. And I remember having that done, and it's very, very painful. So he's having a lot of pain medicine every day. So I wonder what Laura will have them do. What she usually does is say, now I want everybody to say all the things you are thankful for. Now, it's been a very rough year. Everybody knows that. And there's so much bad stuff happening in our world that, is there anything good at all? Now, in my own family, a brother-in-law, wonderful guy, and only 78 years old, and he got that terrible virus. And at first they thought he was better, and he's the kind of guy who doesn't complain, so they let him out of the hospital a little too soon. And he died. He died of that terrible virus. Yep. The virus we call COVID-19. Well, he had a lot of troubles in his life. In 1996, my sister, his wife, died of cancer. And it got to her so fast, it had grown around her heart, and I talked to her the night before, and she got up the next morning and dropped dead just like that. Then 2 years later, their only daughter got cancer in her brain. And Curtis went down to where she lived down in Colorado and stayed with her for 3 weeks until she also died. Well, what was he thankful for? I know for sure he was thankful that he was there when his daughter passed away. And he was with her. And she lost her eyesight, but she liked music, so he'd play music for her. He was just thankful to be there when his only daughter died of brain cancer. What kinds of things can we be thankful for? Now, sometimes we think, well, it could have been worse, and I'm glad it wasn't. Now, there's an old Norwegian joke. I had a friend who died miserably many years ago. His widow lives over at Asa Haugenholm in the what do we call it? Senior care unit, you know? Halleskosa is her name. And he had a sign that said, "Cheer up," they said, "things could be worse." And I cheered up, and sure enough, things got worse. Only Norwegians can have a sense of humor like that. Maybe Danes too. Well, what are we thankful for? Maybe just thankful that we're still alive. It can be a privilege to be alive no matter how hard life is. But sometimes life is so painful that, and I have known people over at Asa Haugenholm who said, "Why can't I just die? I'm tired of all this pain." I can think of 3 right away that wanted to die. And what I said was, well, it's not when your brain says I want to die, it's when your body decides it's time to die. And sometimes dying can just be a great relief. And maybe it's too late to say thanks if it happens the way you want it to happen. Well, a lot of people say, I hope it happens when I'm sleeping, then I won't know the difference. I guess they're being thankful in advance. So Thanksgiving is coming. And for what will we give thanks? I can imagine my daughter-in-law, whose name is Laura, having the whole family think of all the reasons that they can be thankful. And they can probably say, well, I'm glad Daddy is getting better. I'm glad something worse didn't happen. And maybe they'll say, the food is good and I'm glad I can eat good food. And maybe they're going to have some pretty good food for you over at Asa Haugenholm for Thanksgiving. Well, if you could choose, what would you choose? Pumpkin pie? Turkey? With stuffing? And what would you put in the stuffing? And what else might you have? Ooh, cranberries or cranberry sauce. I have a granddaughter. If you don't have cranberries, it's not Thanksgiving for her. So think of all the things that taste good, that make you feel happy, and think of the worst things that could happen, and they haven't happened yet. So maybe there'd be all sorts of reasons for being thankful. Sometimes we just have to think a while, and something will happen that makes me say, yeah, I'm thankful for that. So, think of the old song, "Come, ye thankful people, come, raise the song of harvest home." That's only for people in the country who have gardens or farm. "All is safely gathered in, ere the winter storms begin. First the blade and then the ear, then the good kernels appear. La 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 la, raise the song of harvest home." Well, some of you grew up on farms. Maybe Thanksgiving was a time when you raised your own food, made your own pumpkin pie, or even apple pie, or apple crisp, because apples come in the fall too. Now, I always like 3 kinds of apples in an apple pie. One that's very tart, like those Granny Smith apples that are sort of hard and green, and one that's kind of medium in the middle, and one that's sweet. So when I make an apple pie, and I'm pretty good at it, or even if I make apple crisp, I always try to have 3 kinds of apples. And then not too much sugar. And maybe even brown sugar. What else would I put in it? Well, I got to think a while, but maybe you've got your own recipes. Because Thanksgiving is when we are supposed to think about food, and the food that's good and good for you. So, I'll dare to say Happy Thanksgiving, or maybe even as happy as it can be under the circumstances, because the world is not a happy place these days. And if you have to say goodbye to somebody, like I had to say goodbye to my wonderful brother-in-law, Curtis, it's nice to be able to say goodbye. And there's an old song my grandpa used to sing, because he was a Sunday school superintendent. And how did that go? God be with you till we meet again. 'Neath his wings securely hide you. Tra-la-la-la-la-la. God be with you till we meet again. Till we meet, till we meet, till we meet at Jesus' feet. Till we meet, God be with you till we meet again. Isn't that a nice way to think about the world? So, enjoy whatever you can, and it won't hurt to think about times in the past that were really good old times. And when you had a turkey sandwich instead of, well, that other kind that I tried, raccoon meat. I'm not going to wish raccoon meat on anybody.
That's a good ending note. Thank you.